بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. The author he mentioned rahimahullah ta'ala باب ما جاء في التنجيم باب ما جاء في التنجيم, the chapter with regards to that which has come about التنجيم. التنجيم يعني تعلم علم النجوم, to learn the knowledge of the stars, that which has come with regards to this, meaning the clarification of that which is permissible from that and that which is not permissible, and likewise the clarification of these rulings and the great threat and warning for those who have the false creed and belief with regards to the stars. So we see in general that learning the knowledge of the stars, this is the chapter and this is what it is related to. But the knowledge of the stars is two types. To learn the knowledge of the stars, and in general is two types: the stars in the heavens, in the sky. There are different types of knowledge related to these stars. Some of this knowledge is correct and permissible, and other types of this knowledge is falsehood and a type of shirk, and associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and false creed and false belief. So the first type, which is permissible, is called ilmu at-tasir. Ilmu at-tasir. Tasir bis-sin. Sayyara. Yusayyiru. Sayyir. Tasiran. Tasiran. At-tasir is the knowledge of the stars and learning their movements and their orbits and the likes and other things related to the science of al-falak and the sizes of the stars and the moons and the likes like this, and their positions in the sky. And they use this knowledge here, knowing the position of the stars and the movement of the stars and the movement of the planets and the likes like this, in order to determine direction. For example, in order to determine the direction of the qibla, or likewise to know the different seasons, and so on and so forth. And to be aware of these affairs, to know the different times and the different seasons, and whenever the stars are in a particular position, it will be a particular season, or it's known that whenever the star appears, that this season has entered, and in this particular season is a time for a particular crop or a harvest and the likes like this. This is permissible, and this is not ascribing anything to these stars, rather it's just something that is known, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created these stars, and they move in an orbit, and that orbit can be studied and can be learned, and it is known. And by way of those stars and their orbits, it is a person who has this knowledge, he's able to determine which way is north, which way is south, and so on and so forth. And from that, he's able to determine the direction of the qibla and the likes like this, and also know the seasons. So this is called ilmu at-tasyir. Ilmu at-tasyir. This is permissible. This is permissible. And he talking about the sayr of al-kawakib, the movement in the orbits of the stars. This is the second type of ilm al-nujum is called ilmu at-ta'thir. At-ta'thir min athara yu'athiru. Athir ta'thiran. At-ta'thir is to have effect, is to have an effect on someone or something, and to affect someone or something. So this is the issue here that is impermissible, and the belief here is people believe that the stars, they have an effect on the events that occur in the earth, and with regards to the people, and likewise with regards to success and failure, or also with regards to prosperity and adversity, and so on and so forth. Any events that occur in the earth. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah he mentioned al-istidlal bil-nujumi بالحوادث الفلكية أو الأحوال الفلكية على الحوادث الأرضية, that it means to use the stars as a proof to declare or to mention that which will occur in the earth. And if they'll look into the stars and they'll see the position of the stars, and they'll claim from that they know what would happen in the earth, or they will see that there's a star in a particular position and a person who was born at that time and then he will say, well, this person, he will be successful, or this person, he will be a failure. Or they'll say that if you were born at this particular time in this star, in this constellation, and then if you're going to travel on this specific day, they'll say, don't do it. Don't do it because you were born at this time and the stars are in this position, and they will claim that they know the unseen. And they'll claim that they know the unseen by looking at the stars and by the movement of the stars and the constellation of the stars. So the sun, the people of knowledge, they mention it has buruj, and the moon, it has manazil, yani the manazil al-qamar, the stations of the moon that it goes through. This is something that Allah, He created the sun and the moon and the stars like this, and these are from the ayat of Allah Azza wa Jalla, of His power and His authority and His command and His ability to do all things, and signs of His greatness. And they are a creation from the creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they are under the command of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and they have no effect whatsoever on His creation. He is the one who brings about good, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and evil and harm and the likes like this, or He is the one who protects the people from harm, and He is the one who brings prosperity and poverty and life and death alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the sun and the moon and the stars, they have no hand in this, and they have no share in this, and they have no benefit in this. So therefore, the science of the stars is two types. One is permissible, and that is to learn about the movement of the stars in order to determine the direction and the seasons and the likes like this. The movement of the stars, and likewise the position of the moon and the sun, and so on and so forth, in order to determine the direction, in order to determine the direction, and likewise the seasons, and so on and so forth. This is permissible. This is permissible. And the second type is called ilmu at-ta'thir, and this is impermissible, and this is whenever they learn the constellations and the movement of the stars and the sun and the moon in order to claim that they know something from the unseen or events that will occur in the future, so on and so forth, and the likes like this. This is impermissible. So this is the topic of this chapter. The author, he says, قال البخاري رحمه الله في صحيحه قال قتادة خلق الله هذه النجوم لثلاث زينة للسماء ورجوما للشياطين وعلامات يهتدى بها فمن تأول فيها غير ذلك أخطأ وأضاع نصيبه وتكلف ما لا علم له به انتهى. He says رحمه الله تعالى. It's been mentioned in Sahih Bukhari. قال البخاري يعني تعليقا. He mentioned this narration from Qatada رحمه الله تعالى. Qatada ibn Di'ama Sudusi. He died in the year 117. He's from the Tabi'een, from the students of Anas, and he met many of the companions, well, several of the companions. Rahimahullah ta'ala, a great scholar of hadith and tafsir, Qatada. He says, خَلَقَ اللَّهُ هَذِهِ النَّجُومَ لِثَلَاثٍ. That Allah Azza wa Jal, He created these stars for three reasons. زِينَةً لِلسَّمَاءِ, as a means of, as an adornment for the heavens, وَرُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ, and also as missiles or missiles to cast away the devils. وَعَلَامَاتٍ يُهْتَدَى بِهَا, and also as signs that they are guided by way of them. And these are the three affairs he's mentioning here, that the stars, they were created for this purpose. The first one is to be an adornment for the heavens, and a beautification for the nearest skies, the sky that we see, the heavens that we see is an adornment. The stars, they're an adornment for the sky, and likewise they are a means to drive away the shayateen from the jinn. And likewise the stars, they are a means of guidance. Not that they guide themselves, but a person who knows how to read the stars or see the stars, he can find that the direction is this way, the north is this way, by looking at the stars like this, in this manner. This is what he means by as a means of guidance. فَمَنْ تَأَوَّلَ فِيهَا غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ. So whoever were interpreted to mean something other than this, whoever claimed that the stars have a purpose other than this, besides these three affairs, أَخْطَأَ. He made a mistake. Whoever claimed that the stars could be used for another purpose, or they're created for another reason, and the likes like this, then he made a mistake. وَأَضَاعَ نَصِيبَهُ. And also he has wasted and lost his portion, meaning نَصِيبَهُ مِنَ الْخَيْرِ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. He has lost his portion of goodness in the hereafter. And meaning this is a threat to claim this issue here without knowledge, and to speak about the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal and the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal without knowledge. وَتَكَلَّفَ مَا لَا عِلْمَ لَهُ بِهِ. And also he has pretended and tried to have knowledge that he has no knowledge of. And to speak about to speak about something that he has no true knowledge of. So this is the issue here. The person who claims that the stars are used for other than these three affairs, then he has made a mistake and he is wrong, and he is embarking on a dangerous affair, and he is exposing himself to the anger of Allah by speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. And we know that Qatada, he's a great scholar of tafsir, and this issue here, these three affairs, they're mentioned in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah, He mentioned in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِحِ. This is the issue that it's zina. The stars, they are zina. وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيا بِمَصَابِحِ. Verily, we have adorned the nearest heaven with lamps, with lanterns, meaning with stars. So here's the proof in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created the stars as a means of decoration and adornment. And He mentioned that in His book, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after that he mentioned subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ, and we have made them as a means to cast away the devils. And rujum, yani stones that are cast, and blazing stones that are cast, and he casting away the shayateen al-jinn, mustariq as-sama', those who try to listen to the revelation and that which occurs in the heavens and the likes like this. And these stars and these bodies in the sky, they are means to cast away the devils from the jinn, and likewise they are means of adornment and beautification. And also Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentioned in other verses, وَأَلَامَاتٍ وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ, and their signs, and by way of the stars, وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ, by way of the stars they are guided. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions, وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ النُّجُومَ لِتَهْتَدُوا بِهَا فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. And verily it is He, Allah, who has created the stars. He has created the stars so that you may be guided by way of them. So that you may be guided by way of them in the land and in the sea. In the land and in the sea. So the people previously, they used to use the stars at nighttime in the land and in the sea. This is how they would be guided. They would see the stars. They would use the stars as guidance, and they would know that if this star was present, that the qibla is in this direction. And then another star would come, and they would use that as also a means to determine the direction. And other stars would come and appear, and they would move in their orbits and go, and they would know them. And they would know their positions, and from that they would know where they're at on the earth and the direction that they're facing, so on and so forth. This is something that Allah, He created the stars for this purpose. The people of knowledge, they mentioned, and particularly in these areas where the revelation was revealed, that the people in the nighttime, they used to use the stars as a means of guidance, and in the daytime they used the mountains. In the daytime they used the mountains, and they would use the earth and the environment, and they were able to determine the direction where they're going by the environment that was around them. As for today, many people will not be able to look at the stars or even the scenery around them and determine the direction. But wallahu alam, this GPS system that we have today, this is based upon the stars and the position of the stars. And this is how this determined, and the likes like this, based upon this knowledge that had preceded. Based upon the knowledge that has preceded. It's only more advanced now, but this is the case. So these things are permissible. The stars, they're created for beautification of the heavens, and whenever one sees them, they're beautiful, no doubt. Especially if you can go into the countryside where there's no light, external light at nighttime, and see on a clear night the stars in the sky. You say, Allahu Akbar, how many of them? And some of them are brighter than others, and some of them are bright white, and others are red, and so on and so forth. And even to this day, scientists are learning more about them, their size and their distance, and how huge they are. These are all signs from the signs of Allah, signs of His power and His authority and His command, subhanahu wa ta'ala, signs that He's worthy of worship alone with no partners, tabaraka wa ta'ala. They have no other purpose except for what He created them for. And He created them, subhanahu wa ta'ala, for these three reasons. So the author, he says now, وَكَرِهَ قَتَادَةُ تَعَلُّمَ مَنَازِلِ الْقَمَرِ. And Qatada, rahimahullah ta'ala, he disliked learning the positions or the stations of the moon. كَرِهَ تَعَلُّمَ مَنَازِلِ الْقَمَرِ. The people of knowledge, they mentioned, see, Qatada, he died in the year 117. And the people of knowledge mentioned that whenever the word kariha or karaha is used by the Salaf from the likes of the Tabi'een and the likes like this in the early generations, what they intend by way of that is a tahrim. And he disliked it, meaning that he considered it to be haram. he considered it to be haram. In the later generations came, the terminologies became established, the terminology of the Sharia, mustalahat al-Shar'iyya, and then in the later generations they would use haram to mean tahrim, or tahrim likewise to mean any impermissible, and then they would have karaha to mean disliked. But many times you will find the Salaf saying the word kariha or karihtu kada or kariha fulanun kada or ana raitu fihi karaha, like this. They will use these words, and what they intend by that is that they believe it to be haram. They believe it to be haram. So this is something very beneficial for a student of knowledge to be aware of. The mustalahat of the people of knowledge. The people of knowledge, they have terms that they use. And sometimes they differ from people to people, from person to person, or even from region to region, so on and so forth. And the scholars, they're aware of these terminologies and how they're used and what is intended by way of them. So here we see وَكَرِهَ قَتَادَةُ تَعَلُّمَ مَنَازِلِ الْقَمَرِ. That Qatada, he disliked this, meaning Wallahu alam, that he believes that it's haram or not permissible. وَلَمْ يُرَخِّصْ Ibn Uyaynata فِيهِ. And Ibn Uyayna, he did not allow that or make it or find it to be permissible or find a license or permissibility to do this. Ibn Uyayna, he died in the year 198. His name is Sufyan ibn Uyayna, 198, rahimahullah ta'ala. Both of them from the great scholars of hadith, Qatada and likewise Ibn Uyayna. Both of them, they disliked this or found it to be impermissible, and they did not allow it. ذكره حرب عنهما. Harb, he mentioned this from them. Harb is from those scholars who benefit from Imam Ahmed, rahimahumullah ta'ala. So here there's a first position. The author is now clarifying the ruling or the statements of the scholars, or the difference of opinion with regards to the knowledge of an-nujum, learning the knowledge of the stars. So here we see that Qatada and also Ibn Uyayna, rahimahumullah ta'ala, they did not find it to be permissible. And absolutely, not the ilm al-tasir wa not ilm al-ta'thir, of course. And ilm al-ta'thir, of course, is not permissible. There's evidence is clear about that. But here he's talking about ilm al-tasir, that to learn and to study the stars and the position of the stars, for this other reason. Not for claiming that they have effect on the events in the earth, but to learn the direction and the likes like this. They dislike that, or they found that to not be permissible. Ibn Uyayna, he did not allow that. And this is because they believed that this would be a means to lead to something worse, that a person who would learn the stars in order to determine the fusul, the seasons, or to determine the direction, and then after that he would lead him to learning the other type of knowledge, and then he would be affected by that, and it would be a means for him to enter into the haram, into that which is impermissible. So therefore they prohibited that, or they did not allow that, or they would not mention that it's permissible, and you're not allowing the people to do that. And he said that al-dhara'i', and meaning that they're cutting the pathways off that lead to shirk, that lead to deficiency in the tawheed, and that lead to corruption of the deen and the creed, and so on and so forth. So they mention here that the reason why they disliked that, or they found it to be this impermissible, or they did not allow that, not because of that knowledge being haram itself, but because of what it could lead to, and the likes like this. So here is the one position with regards to learning this knowledge. And then he said, rahimahullah, وَرَخَّصَ فِي تَعَلُّمِ الْمَنَازِلِ أَحْمَدُ وَإِسْحَاقُ. But Ahmad and Ishaq, they both found it permissible and allowed learning the position or the stations of the moon, meaning ilm al-tasir. They allowed that. They found it to be permissible. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah ta'ala, he died in the year 241. And Ishaq, he's known as Ishaq ibn Rahuya. His name is really Ishaq ibn Ibrahim, and they called him Ibn Rahuya, rahimahullah ta'ala, from the great scholars of hadith, and he died in the year 238. He's also from the great scholars of fiqh as well, and he has many positions in fiqh, and the people of knowledge, they transmit his statements with regards to fiqh, and also with regards to creed and the likes. Great scholars of hadith. So Al-Imam Ahmad and likewise Ibn Rahuya, rahimahumullah ta'ala, they found it to be permissible. And this is what is correct, and Allah knows best. You need to learn the knowledge of at-tasir, ilm at-tasir, the orbits and the likes of the moon and the stars, and the planets and the earth and so on and so forth in order to determine the direction, this is permissible. Even some of the people of knowledge mentioned it could be obligatory in a certain situation. If the people are in need to know the Qibla and they have to know the direction of the Qibla, which is an obligation. It's an obligation to face the Qibla in the prayer. So if nobody knows how to find the Qibla, then somebody has to learn that knowledge in order to determine that. In order to determine that, the Qibla, it must be known. It must be known and it must be faced in the 5 daily prayers. So therefore it could be, in a situation like this, obligatory. But in general, the issue here is that it is permissible. It's permissible. The benefit from this, and the fact that the people of knowledge, they differed. They differed about what? Ilm al-Tasir, the learning, ilm al-Tasir, the knowledge of the orbits of the stars and the moon and the sun and so on and so forth. They differed about this. As for ilm al-Ta'thir, then this is haram, this is not permissible, and this is a type of shirk, and this is what has preceded. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man iktabasa shu'batan min an-nujumi, faqad iktabasa shu'batan min as-sihr, zada ma zad." That whoever learns or applies or practices a portion of the knowledge of the stars, then verily he has learned or applied a portion of magic. And we know that magic is shirk, and in the origin, the original, when the word is used, the sihr, magic, it increases as much as he increases. Meaning, the more he learns about that science or the more he applies it, the more he will fall into magic. So this is the case here. That one is clearly impermissible. As for the issue here, this is with regards to ilm al-Tasir. So the people of knowledge, they differed about that. And so some of the people of knowledge mentioned it's not even permissible to learn this type of knowledge. So that means that the knowledge of ilm al-Ta'thir is even more severe. And to clarify how severe that issue is, that some of the people of knowledge, they would mention that this affair is not permissible, and in order to protect the Muslims from falling into that dangerous affair. Because in the knowledge of al-Ta'thir or ilm al-Ta'thir, whenever they claim that they know, they look into the stars or the position of the stars and the moons and the likes like this, and then they claim that they know that what would happen to people. They say, oh, this month is good for you. You were born in this constellation. Oh, you should get married, or you shouldn't get married, or you should travel, or they would look like this, and they'll get their horoscope. The horoscope, this is what is being spoken about. Yani the ilm al-Ta'thir, what do they call that in English? Astrology. And then the ilm al-Tasir, astronomy. There's a difference. Astrology is whenever they claim that they look into this one is Cancer and this one is Scorpio and this one is he was born on this day and this is going to happen on this day because he was born on this day and he's compatible with this one and he's not compatible with that one. And all of these things, they claim they know these things from the affairs of the unseen. This is very dangerous. Now this is misguidance, and this is a type of shirk. But as for astrology, then this is to learn astronomy. This is to learn the like NASA. They learn the movement of the sun and the moon and the stars and so on and so forth. This one is permissible. But ilm al-Ta'thir, astrology. Some of the people, they believe that these planets or these stars, these bodies in the sky, they bring the rain themselves, or they have an effect themselves on the events in the earth. And these things by themselves they have the power and their position and so on and so forth, that they affect the situations and the events that occur in the earth. This is major shirk. This belief here is major shirk, to believe that the stars or in the likes like this, they have an effect by themselves without the will of Allah, without the decree of Allah, and that these things occur by themselves, and by the movement of the star or by the star itself, they have a creed in the star itself. This is major shirk. But as for if they believe that the stars, they do not affect the earth by themselves, but rather the things that occur on the earth, they occur by the permission of Allah. But they take the stars as a means or a reason, and they make the stars. They say if this star is in this position, then by the decree of Allah, then this will happen or that will happen or like this. Then this one is minor shirk. This is not major shirk. So the difference is in the creed. If a person believes that the stars and the bodies in the sky, they have an effect by themselves without the permission of Allah or the command of Allah or the will of Allah, this is major shirk. if they believe that they have an effect on the events that occur in the earth, but they take them as a means, then this is minor shirk, because Allah did not make them means. Allah did not make the stars a means for determining what will happen on the earth. What did Allah make the stars a means for? Beautification of the heavens and guidance through the lands, and then to cast away the devils. To cast away the devils. So whoever claimed other than that, then he has made a mistake. He has made a mistake. Likewise, other people, another issue of this knowledge al-ta'thir, is they'll use the position. There are those who claim, from looking at the stars and the position of the stars, so on and so forth, that they will know what happens in the future. They will know what happens in the future. And they will say that this is going to happen, or that is going to, based upon this star has shown or come, or this star has gone, or the orbit is in this position, or the moon is in that position, and they'll say this is going to happen. So-and-so is going to be born, or this is going to happen, or that is going to happen. Based upon this, what is the ruling of that? Disbelief. That's why he's warning here. فَقَدْ أَضَاءَ نَصِيبَهُ يعني مِنَ الْآخِرَةِ. And this is disbelief. So if it's related to claiming knowledge of the unseen, this is disbelief. In any affair. And from that we have proceeded. Magic also has the same issue. And also kahana and arrafa. All of these affairs, whenever they have the issue with related to claiming that one knows the unseen, or that which will happen in the future, so on and so forth, then this is disbelief. This is disbelief, وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, قُلْ لَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ الْغَيْبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Say to them, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, nobody knows, nobody in the heavens and the earth knows the unseen except for Allah. Except for Allah. So anybody who claims they know the unseen, and that which will happen in the future, so on and so forth, then he is a liar, and he has disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ قُلْ لَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ الْغَيْبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Nobody knows the unseen. And nobody in the heavens and the earth knows the unseen except for Allah. Like, what about now whenever they have the forecast for the rain? Is that claiming the knowledge of the unseen? They have science. They're making what they call educated guess. They have knowledge. They're not claiming that it will rain at this time in this place at this amount like this. They're not saying that the rain is going to land here in this particular vicinity. But they have learned by the permission of Allah, وَعَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانَ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. They have learned some knowledge of this affair, and they are able to look at the situation and the weather and determine, and with a guess, they're guessing and approximately and the likes like this, where the rain will befall or when it will befall, and so on and so forth. And we see many times they're right and many times they're wrong. Sometimes it'll have a forecast for a week of rain and it will be sunny, or have a forecast for sunny and it will be raining, and the likes like this. So this is not the same thing. And they're using the knowledge that they have. I need to mention this, and they're not claiming that they know that it will rain like this. If somebody said it's going to rain, and based upon his looking into the stars, so on and so forth, this would be from that. But what they do with the meteorologists or this type of thing, this is not from that. This is not from that, and Allah knows best. And so in any case, we see the difference between the two. Ilm al-tasyir wa ilm al-ta'thir. The author, he says, when Abi Musa radiyallahu anhu, Abi Musa Abdullah bin Qais al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, he says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ثلاثة لا يدخلون الجنة. Three types of people, they will not enter paradise. مدمن الخمر, the one who is an alcoholic or a drunk, he constantly drinks alcohol. وقاطع الرحم, and the one who cuts ties to his relatives. ومصدق بالسحر, and the one who believes in magic. رواه أحمد بن حبان في صحيحه, and this has been narrated by Ahmad ibn Hibban in his Sahih ibn Hibban al-Busti rahimahullah ta'ala. So three types of people, they will not enter paradise. This is a threat, and this is from the text with regards to al-wa'id, the threat of the punishment of Allah, the anger of Allah. Three types of people, they will not enter paradise. And the first one, the one who is مدمن الخمر. إدمان الشيء is the one who does it all, المداومة عليه, the one who continuously does something. He's addicted to it. He's addicted to alcohol, and he's an alcoholic. He's constantly drinking. This person, if he died like that, here in the narration says he will not enter paradise. Likewise, the one who cuts ties to his relatives, he will not enter paradise. Likewise, the one who believes in magic, and this is the point of evidence here. The likes of these texts, and many of the people of knowledge, they have mentioned, and from them Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala, that they should not be interpreted. They should be left like that. You leave them like this, and in order to scare the people, in order for the people to leave these things, and to have a reverence for the text, and honor and respect for these affairs. Whenever one hears this, 3 people will not enter paradise. The one who drinks alcohol, he's a drunk. Likewise, the one who cuts his ties. If a person hears this, then he will check himself, and he doesn't enter paradise like this. But other people of knowledge, they have interpreted these texts in order to refute the people of falsehood, because some people have a false creed and false belief with regards to the likes of these texts, and they will look at the text of the threat of the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they will neglect the text with regards to the mercy. And on the other hand, there are other type of people who have deviated as well, and they will look at the text of the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal and the evidences that have come with regards to the forgiveness of Allah Azza wa Jal and His vast mercy, and they will neglect looking at it and considering the text with regards to the threat. So therefore, the proper methodology in all affairs and with regards to understanding the text is to gather between them all in a particular issue. So the correct understanding, and it goes back to the noble verse in the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. That verily Allah, He does not forgive that partners are set up with Him, any of the one who dies upon shirk. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. Allah, He does not forgive that shirk is partners are set up with Him. وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. But He forgives to that which is to whom He wills lesser than that, or that which is lesser than that to whom He wills. So we will see, is drinking alcohol or being addicted to alcohol shirk or lesser than shirk? Lesser than shirk. Likewise, cutting off the ties of relatives, lesser than shirk. Likewise, believing in magic, this one could be shirk according to the issue here, according to the issue, and what type of magic he's believing in, what is intended by that. But in general, the person who dies upon Iman, the person who dies upon a Muslim, then his final abode is paradise. Some will enter right away with those who enter right away, and others they will be delayed and they will be purified in the hellfire. They'll be purified in the hellfire. Those who die without major sin, while performing the obligations, they have the promise of entering paradise and the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and no punishment. As for those who die upon major sin, lesser than shirk and disbelief, then they're under the will of Allah. If Allah wills, He will forgive them right away, and they'll enter with those who enter in the beginning. And if Allah wills, He will punish them according to His sin. So this is what is understood here. And if they will not enter paradise, meaning they will not enter paradise with those who enter in the beginning. With those who enter in the beginning. Or they will not enter paradise without any punishment. And the one who drinks alcohol, he will not enter paradise, meaning that without any punishment. Or the one who cuts ties to his relatives, he will not enter paradise, meaning without any punishment. Without any accountability, without being cleansed in the fire like this, unless Allah forgives him. Unless Allah forgives him. This is the proper understanding. So he says here, وَمُصَدِّقٌ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَمُصَدِّقٌ بِالسِّحْرِ, and the one who believes in sihr, believing in sihr. Is magic real? You believe in sihr? No, that's not what is intended. But magic is real. So to believe that magic is real, this is not what is intended here. And magic is real. Magic is real. It has an effect. There's the type of magic that is called takhyil. Whenever one would be deceived to think that see something. What does that mean? Takhyil. Illusion. Hallucination. It's an optical illusion, or it's made to appear like there's something happening, but it's not really happening. It's just an illusion. This is one type of magic. The other type of magic is sarf al-atf. Whenever it would affect somebody, you can bring somebody, cause somebody to love somebody, or cause somebody to hate somebody. There are other types of magic also that they have effect on the body. They can make a person sick. They can bring a person harm. Even this magic can reach the extent, that it can kill a person. Magic can kill a person. It could affect his mind. It could affect his body. And by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is a reality, and Allah has created this, and He has allowed this, and this happens by His permission. إلا بإذن الله. Surah Al-Baqarah. ها وما يضرها بشيء إلا بإذن الله. نعم. And they do not harm anybody whatsoever except by the permission of Allah. It does not harm anybody whatsoever except for by the permission of Allah. What is the verse? وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله. أحسنت جزاك الله خيرا. نعم إلا بإذن الله. That's the point. That it happens by the permission of Allah. So to believe this is not what is intended here. Believing in magic, meaning believing that it's good, believing that it's a way that is beneficial, believing that it's something that one should take. For example, if he goes to the arraf or to the kahan or the kahan or the kahin, and he tells them, well, this is going to happen or that's going to happen, he believes him. He believes him. This is believing in magic. This is believing in magic. Like this, believing in him, following them and liking their way, or going to them and having them use it for putting magic on somebody, or having somebody use magic for a person. This is what is intended here. So the point of the author here is to clarify that ilm al-ta'thir is from a sihr, because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever learns a portion of the knowledge of the stars, he has learned a portion of magic. He has learned a portion of magic. من اقتبس شعبة من شعب السحر أو شعبة من السحر فقد اقتبس شعبة من اقتبس شعبة من النجوم فقد اقتبس شعبة من السحر زاد ما زاد. نعم جزاكم الله خيرا. So the author, he says, and he closes, فيه مسائل. In this chapter there are issues. الأولى الحكمة في خلق النجوم. The first benefit, we see the wisdom in the creation of the stars. الثانية الرد على من زعم غير ذلك. The second benefit is the refutation upon those who claim other than that. الثالثة, the third issue, ذكر الخلاف في تعلم المنازل. The mention of the difference of opinion with regards to learning the position of the moon, meaning this knowledge here. الرابعة الوعيد في من صدق بشيء من السحر ولو عرف أنه باطل. And the threat of the one who believes in something from magic, even if he knows that it is falsehood, هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.